Hello guys, welcome to Redditor's Revenge. Here we post amazing revenge stories daily, and if you want more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. Moving on to today's first story, which is about OP getting revenge on her cousin, after she ruins the biggest opportunity OP had to change her life. Now story. I am not a person who likes to dwell on the past. I know that things happen for a reason and we move on. But there has always been something that I could not let go of for the past few years. I was supposed to get an opportunity to study abroad. But I did not get it after all my research mysteriously disappeared. I drove myself mad for a few months after that, but eventually let it go. But now that I know who was responsible, I have found it hard to leave the past in the past without getting back at this person. I know it is just an opportunity to study overseas, but when you have lived in a poor neighborhood, where the only professions are stealing or selling your body, any chance to get out is a golden ticket. So when I was in university, I got an invitation to attend university overseas for 1 year, studying under some of the most brilliant minds in my field. I could not believe that I, a little girl from nowhere, had impressed my professors to get them to consider me. I was the only black girl among the other students who were mostly male. These sorts of positions mostly went to men as there were not many women in my field, which meant I had to work harder to be recognized for my efforts. I knew that I could not botch it no matter what. I wanted to make my parents proud. I was the only one in the family to go to university, so believe me, many people were waiting for me to fail. There were so many women who passed mean comments about my weight when I came to visit, telling me I did not look my age. Such comments were made because they were bitter, because their daughters had kids with different fathers or their sons were affiliated with gangs. But my cousin Gail was very supportive of me and encouraged me to work hard so that I could go overseas. Gail and her mom were struggling a bit, but Gail had been doing short courses, and all she could to get herself out of our neighborhood. She was by far my favorite cousin because she understood me and we motivated each other to do better. So, for a couple of months, I did my research and worked on the research assignment that they had given us to be handed in with the application. It was a lot of work, a lot of research and writing, but I worked very hard for the following couple of months. By the time it was Thanksgiving, I was nearly done with the project and I had the near final draft on the hardcover. I was still working on my laptop, which I guarded with my life even though it was pretty old. That Thanksgiving, we had dinner at my grandparents' house, which was the best. As per tradition, later on in the night I and the girls decided to go out on the town for a little rendezvous. I had protested and said that I wanted to work on my project, but they had pressurized me and said that I was worthy of some rest, since I had been working hard all night. That turned out to be the best night ever, followed by a terrible morning where I was so sick I could barely wake up. This forced my mom to ban me from doing any work. I was pretty much done, but I was still obsessing over the minor details as usual. I decided to just let it go and only have a final look through it when we went back to school in a couple of days, when we would have to hand in our work. I was so overwhelmed and excited at this wonderful once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that only got offered to a few people. But, before I had to go back to school, I decided to make sure that all my work was error-free one more time. To my surprise, I could not find the book-like project. I checked multiple times where I had left it, thinking that maybe something was wrong with my eyes, but there was no book. I turned my room upside down, looking for the file, and even scolded my siblings for coming into my room to touch my stuff, but they all swore that they were not responsible for the loss of my book. I spent the entire day turning the house upside down to the point where my entire family was looking at me. I retraced my steps for that day and all I could think about was that I left it in my room, on my bedside table. My sister, whom I shared my room, even attested that it had been there on that day, but could not remember seeing it after that. We looked in every nook and cranny and called every single relative and friend that had been at the house over Thanksgiving, but it was dead end after dead end. Since I had the files on my laptop, which I avoided using at any cost because of how slow it was, I decided to just print the bits I had scattered in it and restart assembling the book. It was going to be expensive to print all of that and use so much paper again, but I had accepted that I was not going to find the book. Except, the laptop was not working, and once my little brother, who is good with computers, inspected it, he told me that the hard drive had been removed. The book might have even been an accident of sorts, but my hard drive also going missing was on another level. I could not stop crying. The feeling of loss was so deep, like I had lost the most important thing in my life. I could not understand why nothing ever went well for me and why anyone would want to hinder my success. My best guess was jealous relatives or neighbors who did not want me to succeed. I felt like I could not trust anyone in that family except for Gail had her mom, who offered support for me and tried to come up with solutions for me to get my stuff back, but it was impossible. The most difficult decision of my life came when I went back to school with nothing. I had searched to the point of getting mad, and there was no way I was going to find the hard drive and the book, because the thief left no clues as to who they were. There were too many suspects to narrow it down as well, so I decided to accept that I was going to pass an opportunity I had been working hard for. Months of work down the drain hurt me more than anything ever had, and I fell into depression. When I told my professor that I was withdrawing for personal reasons, I could see that she was disappointed. I wondered if she regretted giving me an opportunity in the first place only for me to throw it in her face by not even giving her a proper explanation. There was no explanation that I could give that would not sound like me giving an excuse and not taking responsibility for my negligence. For weeks after that, all I would do was regret all those months I did not sleep making sure that I got all the relevant information, all in the middle of assignments and exams. I was burning midnight oil most of the time during that year, for it felt like I was doing it for my life. If I got such an opportunity, it would greatly help my CV, and here was an opportunity to be an intern, as well while studying. But now I had to watch someone else be announced as the winner of the scholarship and be happy for them because my opportunity passed, and it would not come back again. I had so many regrets and I was not okay for several months, but soon I came to terms with the fact that it was something I could never change, so I had to accept it. I soon graduated and got a good job that I loved and decided to take the approach that my grandmother always had when things did not go her way, that everything happens for a reason. I think that it is true because it exposed the snakes in my life. I was now 28, working in my hometown but not living at home anymore. Gail worked in the same district as me and we were closer than ever. When she told me that she was dating a preacher's son, I was surprised, because Gail was not that religious. She changed a lot of her habits to become a more modest and calm person, which was a bit of a change. I got to meet her in-laws one time at an event they had at one of their churches, and they were nice people but filthy rich. I put myself under so much pressure to seem as religious as possible because of how intimidating their faith was. But soon Gail came crying to me because her boyfriend was leaving since they were not from our country originally. She did not think the long distance would work, so she wanted to break up with him. But I could not let her throw away her happiness like that after all she had been through in her youth. I encouraged her to work on a long-distance relationship with him, and sure enough, he proposed to her a few months later. But the plan was that after their wedding here, they were going to move to Spain, where his family was currently based. I was genuinely happy for her, even though there were still those jealous people keeping an eye on her life and wishing for her to fail. As she supported me in my life, I did the same for her. She had one of the grandest weddings in town that left people speaking about it for days, with good reason. Then she went on a honeymoon to Mauritius for a couple of weeks. She was living the life, and I was just glad that she found her happiness, and maybe I would find my own one day. When she came back from her honeymoon, she had to start packing up her stuff to migrate. She could not take much, so she decided to give away most of the stuff she had as a kid, since she has been living with her mom for all those years. It sounded like a lot of work, and I was sure that she was tired and overwhelmed from the past couple of weeks, so I decided to take a much-needed break from work and help her out. It was when I was in the attic, sorting through the boxes and finding the old stuff that she could give away, that I stumbled across something very shocking. For a moment I thought that my eyes were deceiving me, but I soon realized that this was not a dream. It was covered in dust, but once I wiped it off, I knew that book cover. It was my book that had gone missing long ago. And to top it off, there was a hard drive in there that I was pretty certain was mine. Imagine the shock and disgust that went through me when I realized that I had been betrayed by the one I thought I could trust the most. Never in a million years did I think that she would be so jealous of me and betray me. I was with Gail that night on Thanksgiving, but her mom, on the other hand, had easy access to my stuff. And it was not a situation where I thought that maybe Gail's mom did it intentionally, and Gail did not know. Because there was a time when Gail had been acting funny closer to my application deadline, and wishing that she was the one going overseas. I knew her like the back of my hand enough to know that she did not do anything without the help of her mother. I was so angry at the missed opportunity, all because of someone who lied to my face and pretended to support me. I did not confront her on the matter, as that would have been lenient and she would have denied it. I decided to deal with her the way she had betrayed me, with stealth. As I said, I knew everything about her, and she had been through a lot in the past. But the thing was that she had lied to her in-laws about not having children. The truth is that she gave birth to a baby when she was 16 but gave it up for adoption, so she could go back to school. Her in-laws were very religious and did not want her to be married before, or have a kid, which was something she lied to them about, since of course she thought it was not going to come and bite her. I knew the secret and had kept it away from the family like everyone else in the family, because we wanted her to have a happy marriage. But now that she was so close to moving to Spain with her in-laws and leading a life of luxury that she can only dream of, such a revelation would ruin everything. So, I decided to do the Lord's work and inform her mother-in-law. After all, nothing stays hidden under the sun. I gave her all the tea without leaving a single piece of information, from the agency that she gave her baby up for, his name, date of birth, etc. She did not believe me and wanted to confirm everything before she asked her new daughter-in-law about it. I waited patiently as I helped her pack, knowing that she was not going anywhere. Before leaving, I took my book and hard drive with me. If they thought to look for it, then they would be met with a wonderful surprise. The next morning I was woken up by a hysterical Gail at my door, telling me that her ticket had been cancelled, and showing me the divorce papers she had been given once she got to the airport. She said that her mother-in-law told her to stay away from her son because she was a liar and impure. She looked so heartbroken and would not stop crying, and wondering how her mother-in-law found out about her child she gave up for adoption. But unlike her, I was not going to keep it a secret that I was involved in her downfall. I at least owned up to my actions and did not pretend to support people when I did not like her. I told her that I told her mother-in-law the truth, then showed her my book and hard drive that I found in her attic. She tried to deny it, but the pause she made before trying to come up with rational excuses was enough for me to confirm that she had done it. She said that she was sorry and she regretted it so much over the years and it was eating her up. I told her that I did not think she regretted it, since she was so used to keeping the truth hidden. She tried to threaten me for revealing her truth to her mother-in-law, but I told her I had done her a favor. Imagine if years down the line she had a family with him and he found out about her child, she would fall harder than now. But I found satisfaction in knowing that she had felt true loss just like I had when she stole the opportunity from me. Since it was a short marriage, her husband annulled the marriage. She tried to get money from him, but he countersued her for deceiving him about the child. Since his family had money, he not only got his annulment but also won the case against her, suing her for a lot of money that she does not have. She is now the laughingstock of the neighborhood, and I do not feel sorry for her. I am no longer friends with her and I avoid her mom as much as possible. Now here is the end of our first story. I hope you enjoyed the revenge OP took on her jealous cousin. It hurts when you work so hard for something and someone just ruins everything in seconds. I felt she got everything she deserves, but her mother was also part of the plan and she didn't get anything. Guys, I want to know your opinion about this story and what do you think this story is satisfying to you or not? Please comment down. So before moving to the final story, please hit the like button and do subscribe to the channel to stay tuned with us for more awesome stories.
Now moving to our final story, in which OP took revenge on his entitled neighbor who sued OP for the most stupid reason that even the judge laughed at him. Now story. About 6 or 7 months ago, my neighbor got a drone. I don't mind people having hobbies, but for some reason, he insisted on flying like the biggest jerk possible. He would hover in front of other houses and windows, try to race cars going down the road, and worst of all, he had a habit of flying his drone in my fenced backyard, buzzing over my dog, diving low just over my dog's head before circling to do it again. My dog isn't small, he's about 70 pounds and a Malamute, but the drone terrified him, and I was worried about what would happen if it hit him. I asked my neighbor several times to please not fly in my yard and explained that it was scaring my dog. He told me to get lost and laughed in my face. When it continued, I called the police. Unfortunately, there wasn't much they could do other than ask him to please not fly over my house, property. Finally, in late December it happened. My dog got tired of his shit and managed to catch the drone right as it was diving towards him. He shredded the drone. The thing was just a jumbled mess of wires and plastic. The neighbor was pissed. He stormed over to my house swearing and threatening me, which I ignored. A week later, I got a summons to small claims court. He wanted $900 for the cost of his drone and an additional $300 for supposedly denying him access to his property. The drone sat in my yard for a couple of hours before it was retrieved. Duck that, he could have killed my dog. I don't have kids or a girlfriend. I just have my dog who is my best friend for the past 7 years. That dog has moved with me 3 times, was there when I graduated college and saw me buy my first house and my first new car. I love my dog. Went to legal advice and got some great help from them. Turns out, him suing me was the best thing to ever happen. When we got to small claims court, the judge laughed away his claims that I had intentionally trained my dog to attack his drone. But little did he know I was prepared. I had dozens of photos of my yard showing it was impossible for him to accidentally fly that low to my dog, videos of him harassing my dog in the past, and I had saved all my medical bills from taking my dog to the vet. $700 for an X-ray. Check. Another $250 to sedate him during. Why not? Don't want him to be uncomfortable. Full dental exam with tooth cleaning, repair, $400. Then there was the cost of anti-anxiety meds and a secondary checkup, wet food for a week in case his teeth were hurt, and extra just for good measure. In the end, the whole ended up owing me almost $2,000 and now is being investigated by the FAA for not having a registered drone and violating several FAA regulations concerning drone flight. Too near an airport, too close to other people, out of sight of the operator and way above the maximum altitude. Enjoy never being allowed to fly drones again, duck. Now, here is the end of our today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Guys, let me know if you've had any encounters with such entitled neighbors in your life and what's your opinion about them in the comments section. So before leaving, please hit the like button and do subscribe to the channel to stay tuned with us for more awesome stories.